Present better will.
Good morning and welcome to Gunner Short. Gunner Short में आप सबका स्वागत है and today we're going to head into China's sinking cities. Make no mistake, some of their cities are sinking. Look, at the outset, let me clarify something. It's not as if cities don't sink, cities do sink. In fact, that problem is prevalent even in India. But in China, it's assuming certain proportions. And that is peculiar. You know, they say modernization with Chinese characteristics, communism with Chinese characteristics, religion, Buddhism with Chinese characteristics. So Chinese cities are sinking with Chinese characteristics. That is the difference. And when Chinese cities sink with Chinese characteristics, they sink fast. So the business of China development, modernization, is coming home to roost. And I'll talk of it. I'll talk of our own problem also. This is not a problem which is only with China. It is with us also. But I think overall, we might be a little better off. Or it explains a lot the way India progresses. And it also explains a lot of how China has progressed. And is now facing the problems of its progress. We'll talk of it. Okay, let's get going. I saw this actually 2 days back. I was going through, normal my reading on China and research on China. When I came across this interesting little clip. This is about a building, a multi-storied building in China, which has developed cracks. Why did it develop cracks? Because it sank. The moment it sank, okay, but look at this. Look at this. I mean, look at the kind of cracks which are there in buildings. And just go through this video, then you'll understand what I'm talking of. Okay.
这给他发了，不用看。这个。那两天不是个崽子了，这两天他写的更严重，他微型性别一天比一天严重。跟你说，带到这个一个楼。就主要是这儿脱鞋，在这儿已经是脱鞋子15过分、20过分都有了，在这儿。就中间他这脱鞋嘛，在这鞋20过分也多了。你看这都站面瞧，这都你看哇，你看哇。在，它鞋啊，中间是个凹陷处，跟你说，在这儿特别凹。
If you see the ground here, it's not as if this was an unoccupied building or a new building. This is a used building. You can make out, and of course this is Chinese. You can make out from the signs there and all that. Okay.
你看这个水平，你看这玩意儿能看出来。为啥就上边人别的，这你看都别了，看见吗？
Now this is serious. The beam is gone here.
快走啊！我怕贴下来砸死。 你开始打花了，咱们。
张家口荣顺城小区地下车库9号楼底下地下车库，整个从这儿一直整个裂下沉，然后你看从这儿这个柱，整个承重柱全成这样了，矮底下去，你看看这个房成啥了？圈整个这下头是一个坑，等于是这一堆柱子，这10几根柱子承重都不顶事儿了。你看这个柱子。看这个柱子，看看这个柱子，看看这个柱子就成这样了。整个这一圈，你看从地上这一二裂的，整个这一圈全部下沉。
So that's interesting. If you saw the way the ground is given way, the foundation, the pillars, the beams, and this is a multi-storied building which is in use. Obviously, now everyone has vacated because it has sunk. I mean, I don't know what that lady spoke in Chinese or Mandarin, but this is something which I picked off from Chinese site. Okay, this is something, and this is not isolated. There are more. If you go and search, you'll get more. So then I did a bit of research, and this whole thing, the problem in China started surfacing sometime last year. Before that, there's some vague mention that subsidence can happen and all that. And then I read a lot of articles. I'll just show you some so that you understand, what the hell is happening. This is New York Times last year. China's cities are sinking below sea level. They're going below sea level. That's the thing. Okay. Then rising seas and sinking cities signal a coastal crisis in China. This is important. This came out yesterday or not, sometime earlier this month. This article. It talks of the fact that, look, it makes a sensible point. Most of China's big cities are on the coast. Sea is rising. Cities are sinking. So what is it? Is it a catastrophe? It's not a catastrophe, let me tell you, at one level. But at another level, it is a catastrophe. And I'll come to it at the end. Let's understand why this is happening, and we'll do this analysis at the end. Okay? Again, China's cities are sinking, putting tens of millions at risk. This is only the risk part. Okay, risk like that apartment which you saw, that apartment building, is a huge one because you see the parking lot. All this has happened at the bottom, right? They would have been vacated before the building collapsed because this is not something which happens overnight. It develops. They would have been. But what about the cost for them, those people who are in that? There's an issue. If there's a guy in that, he's occupying a house, he's out, then where does he go? He's paying mortgage on that. So, tens of millions, mortgages, loss of property. Just imagine if you are in that situation. Then you're running around pillar to post, trying to find a new flat, this, that, all that. See, there's no more builder's guarantee there. There's no guarantee. No one gives you a guarantee anywhere when you buy a flat anywhere. There will be some escape clause, natural causes. This is a natural cause. No one will pay. What happens to that guy? This is what I call dead GDP. When that multi-storied flat was built, it contributes to GDP. But what now? It's gone. So this has started happening. This has started happening in China. the cost of what you have done, and we'll talk of it. I think I'm putting the cart before the horse. So BBC says water extraction and weight of buildings see half of China's cities sink. It's a fact. Why are China's cities sinking? A comprehensive analysis of causes, effects, and solutions. There are solutions. There are solutions. It's not as if they're not solutions. But what happens is the solutions also cost money, unless you thought of it before. But many things which are happening in China have not been thought of. This could happen to a building which is 10 years old. Then you have to expend more money on it, which means it's like a serpent eating its own tail. That's the major point in this whole thing. That you build something, it starts crumbling, then you have to spend more money. So whatever you earned everywhere else is now going back. Now you'll think, look, this is only cities. No. Yesterday I saw a PLA Daily article. I'm now connecting many things from somewhere else. PLA Daily article which says, look, more than spending on new equipment, we have to now maintain our old equipment. And maintenance of this equipment which we have got is that is building up. It's easy to create, but difficult to maintain. It's very costly to maintain all these assets. So now China is caught in that. It's caught in the trap of, when a thing doesn't function, you rush it in, you build it, you produce it, and you say you are number one, this one, that, all that, and suddenly you find it doesn't work. Or whatever you thought of, it's not giving you the proportionate results. So you have to spend more. So the cheap Chinese item is costly in the long run, which is eating up its GDP. It's going non-productive. Remember this. That is why I picked this up, because it's a very important thing. It touches people's lives. When you go to this article is very comprehensive. I would suggest, if you are interested, read this. It talks of places where there is subsidence. North China Plains, Yangtze River Delta, right? Fenway Plain, this Yangtze River Delta is this. Okay. Now, the blue ones are cities with accumulative land subsidence more than 1 meter. More than 1 meter sinking. There are the blue dots all along the coast. And red ones here are subsidence less than 1 meter. Subsidence means it's subsiding inside. Okay. So this is not the only one. Where is this thing? There's a similar map with many people. I thought I'll show you 2 different maps. These are the areas dominated by fast subsiding cities. Virtually their main cities are all subsiding. There are various analysis. I just pieced together, put them together and shown you. It might not be a logical thing, but just to put the idea in your head. 6% of land in China's coastal city have a relative elevation below sea level. That's a hell of a lot. If sea level rises by 3 feet, that will happen by 2021. But already we've reached the 1.5 degree mark, and people say the sea level, it rises by about 1-2 feet. Right? This percentage of land, which is now only 6% below sea level, will become 26% below sea level. I mean, let me also explain, understand. You go to the net and you check out this rising sea levels effect on India. You'll see a lot of India coast also gone. So I checked, if sea levels rise by 1 meter, 1 meter is 3 feet. That's why I said 3 feet. What will happen to Chennai city? I was more interested in my own house. Will it go underwater or not? Someone has mapped it. If it goes by 1 meter, up where it goes. And lo and behold, what do I see? I find that I might be on the beachfront. If the sea level rises 1 meter in off Chennai coast, my house, which is 3 kilometers away from the coast, I will be virtually the beach. I can go for an evening walk in the beach. I don't know when it'll happen. Maybe my grandson will go through that. But that's it. And Chennai and India are not so developed like China. And China, I'll give you the issues which are involved in this. And it's not as if sinking cities and the low-level areas are great. Most of Netherlands is down, is below sea level. They have a set of dikes. Long back I read about that heroic little boy who saw a dam with the dike with a leaking, and he put his finger in it. He put his finger in it and he stopped the water because he knew if the water continues, the dike will go, and then the village will get washed away. So he puts his finger in that dike and he sleeps next to that, and he goes frozen till next day morning. His father and mother keep searching where, and all the village searches, and they find this little boy next to a dike with a finger in his hand. I don't remember the name of that boy. And then he becomes a national hero because he saved the whole village. I mean, that's Netherlands. And Netherlands has a set of well-engineered dikes, everything, so that people, even if the land is below sea level, they can live safely. They've tamed that area. But China has not. Chinese characteristics, I told you, development with Chinese characteristics. They've just developed like idiots, which they are, the Communist Party. So when you say we should compete with China, we should be very careful what we are talking. Shanghai, historic records. People have gone into the historic records. Between 1921 and 1965, this is now 40 years, last century, Shanghai had sunk by 1.76 meters. Till 65, Shanghai was not so developed as it is now. Why did it sink? The early subsidence was mainly because of extraction of groundwater to support the growing population and emerging industry. Now the Yangtze River Delta is soft. Okay, and same goes, it extends right up to Shanghai. Even Tianjin, another coastal mega city, it started subsiding in 30s last century. By 60s, that Tianjin had sunk by more than 1 meter. Again, groundwater extraction. So we'll see various things here. This is what happens. You do land reclamation, you do underground mining, you do hydrocarbon extraction. What are you doing? The sponge under where you are building your mega cities is being extracted. So the weight of the buildings means this land will go down. And look at the groundwater extraction here. Let me blow it up. Look at the groundwater extraction here, which has gone up. So obviously, this whole city or this whole structures are going to set down. That's the physics of it. Industrialization. All these cities were trade centers and cultural centers. Suddenly they become industrial heavyweights. Factories have sprouted up. And industrialization, China, most manufacturing, industrialization, what happens when you put industry at a place? You need water. The first thing you need when you put industry at a place is water. So when you keep industrializing, you keep sucking water from under. So you take more groundwater. Okay. Then you do development. Because you put an industry, you want to urbanize. And China has urbanized hell of a lot. Their whole model of development is on urbanization. So there's a construction boom. Cities have come up. Overnight structures have come up. Great skyline, everything. Yeah, I mean, now if all these come up, you need infrastructure. All that adds weight to the ground. And all this needs water. Where will water come from? Underneath. Ground water in China has gone down. All this there in these reports. Just to highlight here, Shanghai alone built 800 kilometers of metro lines between 1993 and 2018. So a lot of digging, groundwork, all that. The critical factor is the speed and scale of urbanization outran urban planning and environmental protection. So construction went ahead without assessment, without planning. This is typical communist way of doing things. That guy is given a target, he has to achieve it at any cost. He achieves it. This is a characteristic, Chinese characteristic. So he does whatever he wants. As far as he's concerned, that fellow's got his promotion, whatever, everything. Xi Jinping is doing whatever he wants for China. The next generation suffers. The next generation suffers. And that is the story of China. All these things reinforce what I talk. Why there is a cap to China's development, as we understand it, is this. This is only one. You look at Mao's cultural revolution, he capped the next generation. You look at Deng Xiaoping, he capped complete Chinese civilization by that one-child policy. And then Hu Jintao and Jiang Zemin and even Xi Jinping. New quality development, and all that. This is what's happening. You want to get out of it, he'll say now, you see, the next lot of Chinese propaganda will be, all subsidence is happening. We have to protect China. So technology for all this nonsense they'll have to do and spend money. And then they'll say, this is our great technology. We are saving people. Yeah, you don't need it in the first place. You made it and now you have to guard it. That's the foolishness of Chinese communism. Then population growth. Now they might get a thing out of it, but the fact is this population is going to be there, 1 billion plus for quite some time. The problem with their population is not the growth or recession of population, but the urbanization. See, and this is a World Bank statistic. 1 minute. Hello. I'll just give you a call in 5 minutes if you don't mind. Okay. Right. So, like I was saying, sorry, there was a call. Now, this World Bank statistics. China's urban population was 191 million in 1980. And it has grown to 831 million in 2018 and 640 billion increase in 4 decades. And after that, it has grown further. Today, China cannot urbanize anymore. Very little. That's what it is. From 831, it went to 902 million in 2020. 63% of the total population is urbanized. From overall 17-18% urbanization, they went up to 63%. What happens then on a city? It has grown vertically. When you grow vertically, you dig water from down below. Every house, every apartment, you go anywhere in any country has a borewell. So what are you doing? The sponge underneath you is settling down. You're taking water away from that sponge. Earth, it is the sponge, and you tap into the groundwater. And this is a fact. And hence the weight itself will make the city sink. Fine, if the city has to just sink, fine. But there will be buildings which will go here and there. It will unsettle. The moment that happens to a multi-story building, the cracks develop. You saw that. And it is happening. You know, China has over 50% of the world's 100 tallest buildings. And most of them are in sinking cities like Shanghai and Guangzhou. So you wanted industrial output, you want expansion, environmental concerns were not taken care of. Look, this is not the only thing which has happened. If you analyze the floods just in the past 5 years, you know what people don't understand? China as a whole, as a country, is prone to droughts, floods. It's endemic in China. Every year I see that the amount of destruction by floods and droughts is more. Is it that the droughts and floods have increased? No, they have not increased. They have not increased because your infrastructure didn't cater for that problem. So when floods come, if there are no waterways, there are no channels, and you got put buildings here, they'll take it away or they'll flood you, and then you have to spend more to get out of that flood. Like last year, or last year or year before last, those floods threatened Beijing. So what did these chaps do? They broke a dam somewhere so that the water goes to some other place, and they flooded that to save Beijing. China does all this. 2020 or 21, I don't remember, they broke 6 dams to save the Three Gorges Dam. So this is the phenomenon. Okay. You want to globalize, you want to be number one. This is what is happening in China at the fundamental level. People don't understand this. Another article which I picked up, it says groundwater extraction is hell of a lot. Groundwater level has gone down by more than 100 meters. 100 meters. And that's in 70% of those areas where subsidence is taking place. Where it is below 100 meters, subsidence in 70% of the cases has taken place. Mining. You do mining, naturally there'll be a subsidy. Mining has cost over 25,000 square kilometers to sink. So and mining needs water. Then heat, urban heat islands, because you're packed people in a city, the heat there goes up. Heat means soil shrinkage, underground heating, everything. And then, of course, the natural causes are there that China is always affected by climate change. There are problems. What are the future projections? Parts of Shanghai have sunk more than 3 meters since 1921. Current subsidence rates vary across the city. Some areas are sinking 10 millimeters per year. Beijing has a cumulative subsidence of up to 1.5 meters in some areas. Tianjin, which I spoke, Wuhan, Detong, all these are in problems. All these are in problems. Okay? Right. Let's get something else. They have solutions. People say they're creating, but that creation is at the cost of something else. It's costing. So there's a self-limiting factor in all this development which is taking place. China is caught in the cause and effect trap. It's a case of serpent eating its own tail. Okay, there's no doubt about it. Don't have doubts about it. Look, let me give you an example. I'll take the case. It's not as if it's peculiar to China. It's there in India also. I'll take the case of my own city, Chennai. Chennai never always experienced not droughts, floods and typhoons and all that. But we coped with it. Of late, I see every time for the past 4 years, 3-4 years, every time there's a typhoon, there's an emergency here. Why? People have built in low-lying areas, which were earlier lakes. So you kill the lakes, you built there. So when the gods open up with their skies, that area gets flooded and people have to be evacuated. You're spending more and people die also. But the difference between what's happening in India and there is India, everything happens slowly. So at times, before before you go ahead with building in a hurry, the problem comes and then so that is working to our advantage. This is breakneck development which is happening without thinking, and Chinese don't think. Let's be very clear. People say Chinese think far and all. I don't think they think. I mean, I'm very sure they don't think. They just want immediate results. That's the Communist Party nature. Now, there's a connected problem. This has come out today morning. I picked it up from Guancha. There's this Nobel Prize winner who says, and they put it in their thing because he's talking the truth. Agriculture pressure is going to come on China because of this lack of water. And there are not enough people left because of their urbanization. They've left the agriculture to old people. So China is caught in a situation where people who are young don't know agriculture. They need agriculture otherwise to survive. Old people are looking after agriculture and there's no water. It's just not sinking cities which I'm highlighting. I'm highlighting much more than that. And no wonder this is a thing which has come out. For the next, till 2035, their average growth is going to be only 4%. This is officially from China. So that is what China is all about. Cities are sinking. They are not able to cope up with their environmental damage. If they are coping up. It's not as if they are not completely coping up. But the losses they're sustaining or getting because of this is huge. And this limits China's growth. Now compound it with what I told you earlier about the military equipment is all new. Now they have to put more into maintenance. People are vanishing. Agriculture, mining, everything. So why am I talking of all this? We have to understand China is no great nation in that sense. The people are great. The Chinese people are a civilization. But the CCP has messed it up completely. So if you think he's going to come and fight war with you, all that, and they have technology. I have no doubt about it. They've been better at it. But the cost which they are paying for it is huge. And this is just this. What about pollution? What about industrial pollution? It is something which we many times don't even understand. This is not geopolitical, nothing, but understanding China. This is a peek into everyday China.